I'm down here in the paddock with Matt Bell. Matt, you're currently lying second in the British Championship and you just won the Platinum Cup at Glenigor's Park. How was that for you?
It was a very impressive weekend. It's the first time I've been to the track. It's very technical and me and Dave Classen managed to get the times right down. Broke lap records Friday and Saturday. Couldn't quite do it on Sunday, but we won, so yeah, good result. And I'm looking forward to going back there for the O-Plate.
Okay, and you came fourth here last month. What are your tactics for this weekend?
To just try and get up the front as quickly as possible. There's a couple of fast people up there like Mark Hobson and Phil Smith, and I'll just have to see whether I can catch them. If I do, we'll see how it goes.
Right, Luke, you're British Open champion. You finished fifth here last month. You struggled a little bit, but obviously it was your first time for the circuit. Feeling more confident this month?
Yeah, well, last month we used as a bit of a test session really, because this was our first time here. Just started to learn the grounds of the track, the lines and whatnot, but we're pretty much quicker this weekend. We're looking pretty promising. Just keep learning and learning.
Feeling more settled?
Yeah, it's still going to be tough out there, I reckon, today, but as the months go by, we're going to be quicker and quicker.
Wayne, let me just ask you first. You're switching to an ARC chassis. How's it going for you so far?
Oh, it's been going great. It's a lot better on the brakes and it's a lot more out of the corners and doing well on it today, yeah.
Feel a lot more competitive?
Yeah.
Yeah? And Martin, you finished third last month. Obviously starting right at the back of the grid. You going to make it through to the front?
If I get a good start, we'll just have to see where things go. But got the pace so far, so hopefully things should go alright.
Who's your competition?
Mark Hobson, he's down from Scotland, so usually he beats me, but I'll beat him this time.
Some of the leading contenders there this month. Mark Hobson's on pole, Anthony Lester on P2, Jack Oldham on P3, Chris Cash on 4, get that sinking feeling about Chris this month. Phil Smith's on 5, Chris Prescott on 6, then comes the Solar Lubricants kart of Noel Devery on 7 and Mark Poulter. Ian Walmsley is next, followed by James Taylor on P10, then comes Wilkinson and Adrian Devery on 11 and 12. Morton and Stephen Cash on 13, 14. Andrew Gorman's down from Scotland on 15. Chris Burton, former Dragon Masters winner in 2003, he's on 16. Then comes Jamie Crease and Paul Phelan. Dean Golber, good result in 7th last month, and Paul Monks in 6th place. 5th last month was Luke Cordell, 4th was Bell, 3rd was Lyle, 2nd was Macaulay, and on the back row of the grid, last month's winner, James Duxbury. Well, if you're being posh, you don't pronounce the X, it's James Dewberry. Good look at the Motors TV bodywork graphics there on the Championship Leaders kart. That is James Duxbury. TKM Extreme for ages 15 and over, year of your 16th birthday and older. On-board cameras with Monks and Andrew Gorman. I will remind you that the numbers on the karts denote the championship positions of each driver. The higher up the field you are, the lower down the grid you are. Championship leader must start last, of course. On board with Paul Monks up into turn 1, that's Andrew Gorman, kart 11 in front. Come through turn 1, down to turn 2, which will bring us down to Dunlop hairpin, turn 3. Here it is, Smith up the inside, is that for the lead? Smith's gone from 3rd to 2nd. Wilkinson 16 has hit the tyres out of turn 2 down to Dunlop. So he's going to have a lot of work to do to get back into the action from there. 14, the Solar Lubricants karts of Adrian Devery as they come down to Luna for the first time. Hobson looks up the inside of Smith. Smith was the 6-5 on favourite before racing started. Hobson 6-5 against. Hobson, a former S1 National Championship round winner. As Rick Wilkinson reminds me why we never did TKM. Smith leads it, Hobson 2nd, Leicester is 3rd, Oldham still there in 4th place. Leicester and Oldham had a coming together last month, not unlike the football clubs do occasionally. Leicester came off worse that time, Oldham got going again, but only after getting a push from Dad, and frankly, that's illegal in this class, and he duly received the black flag, hence he's at the back of the field. That's 22, Phil Smith leads it, Hobson's made his way down from Scotland. Further round the lap, Walmsley deposes Chris Cash for a place through turn 1. Cash down 1, Walmsley up 1. On board with Monks following Lyle down to Dunlop hairpin. 12 cars occupying the same bit of track, and Phelan's come off worse there. Paul Phelan, number 8, slides off. Going down to Dunlop. 4 in the picture was Matt Bell, 2 Macaulay. Look at the way Duxbury is making his way through the field. Round the outside through paddock, and Duxbury is putting a lot of karts between him and his nearest championship contenders. And having broken through the pack, he's now got a clear track to work with. They're still stuck 6 or 7 karts back. If this is your first time watching karting in the UK, you are interested and want to get involved. If you're living in Scotland, this month we're giving you some information on the screen here about clubs based in Scotland. Lark Hall near Hamilton, about 20 miles south of Glasgow. If you're in the very north of Scotland, Golspie in Sutherland, and also Crail and Boyndy, other circuits up there in that part of the world. 19, Poulter goes straight on and straight into the tyres. That is a big hit for Mark Poulter. And, well, he looks pretty shocked there. His head has hit the top of the tyre barrier. We'll get another look at that in a second. That's happened right in front of our pit lane reporter, Sam Park. So no doubt Sam will be bringing us some information about that very soon. That's 22, Phil Smith. 26 is Hobson. You're talking to Sam, she's already caught up with Mark Poulter.
I'm down in scrutineering with Mark Poulter. Mark, what happened?
I just went over the back of someone by accident, I think. I don't know whether I was just out the corner quicker than he was, and I went over the back of him and then straight into a wall. And came out of the car, and I think I hit my head on the tyres. I'm not sure. I'm just not with it at the moment.
You looked a bit winded. Are you feeling better now?
I'm feeling better, yeah, but it's still really shaking.
Yeah, nice of Sam to give him about 10 seconds to recover. A warning flag for Chris Burton. Oh, there might be another warning flag for number 7. That's Dean Golber, who's punted off his sponsor. That is an absolute classic. One way to get more money from your sponsor, punt him off. Duxbury's put in the fastest lap, 42.733, but he's not going to catch the 2 leaders, surely. Here is James Duxbury. We're into the last lap, and it's still Hobson that has the lead. Smith did have it. Hobson took it on the last lap. There is the race leader. Mark Hobson went off a long last lap. Left-hander coming out onto Rogersons, and Smith has made a classic move here at Three Sisters. Has he grabbed the win? Coming through Luna for the last time. He'll grab that inside line, surely. He'll hug the line, make sure that he doesn't give away the inside line. He has now, but I think he's done enough. To the line, Smith takes it. Great finish to the race. Phil Smith, after a disaster last month, has taken the win this time. Hobson has to settle for second. What a last lap move that was by Smith. Although, to be honest, I have to say that the funniest thing I've seen for years is Dean Golber punting off Adrian Devery. I hope Adrian thinks so. Phil Smith takes the win. Hobson joins him on the podium, as does Duxbury. Duxbury, his fastest lap, 42.733, the fastest lap of the race, and retains a decent championship lead. Followed in by Leicester, Oldham, Lyle, Caudle, Monks, Walmsley and Jamie Crease.
James, you're the championship leader, started last, finished third. Obviously you retained the championship lead now. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, it was a great race. I didn't expect to get this far up. I just had to keep pushing through the field. Hopefully I made it through.
Mark, it's your first time in this championship. You started pole, you were pipped by Phil on the last lap.
Yeah, it was good to come second first time, but unfortunately Phil got me in the last lap.
Phil, disaster last month, you didn't finish, and obviously you've come out on top this month.
Yeah, it all went well this month. A bit of a, as you say, a disaster last month, but yeah, I'm happy to come away with the win this time.
Well, that's the second of the rounds in the championship. First of the rounds using the reverse grids. I personally think it's fantastic using reverse grids because you can see the championship leader in the Motors TV graphics moving their way from the back of the grid all the way to the front. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting for me to see the different mentalities of the drivers. You look in the cadet class, 4 of the 5 leading drivers fell off before the end of the first lap. Go to the Mini-Max and Junior Max classes, much more mature drivers from the likes of Joe Bullen, James Theodore, Nico Angelides and John Stewart, all made their way up from the back of the grid nice and slowly, so they were at the front at the end of the race when it counted. But driver of the day?
My driver of the day has got to be Nico Angelides. Ben, I don't know if you saw him this morning, but he really wasn't feeling very well. He started at the back of the grid, he finished second. I feel if he was on top form, he could have clinched the win.
For me, although James McClay fell off the circuit before even he got to the first corner, in the cadet class, where he finished up half a lap behind the leaders, to come up to 7th was a really respectable performance from him. But Alan, it's your decision.
Well, round 2 did throw up some exceptional performances. In cadets, Abigail Jerry showed true grit and a determined fight back after losing the lead, making the pass for the win on the last corner. And like Ben, I was impressed with McClay's drive back to 7th after going off before turn 1. In Minimax, James Theodore put in a great performance to go from P20 to 2nd. But in recent months, that's become the standard for the Telford driver, and if Mr Theodore wants to impress me these days, he's going to have to go one better. In Junior Rotax, John Stewart went from the back row to finish on the top step, with Nico Angelides, the championship leader, making up the same number of places, finishing 2nd despite illness. With James Duxbury in TKM making up 22 places to travel from P25 to 3rd, it makes this month's Driver of the Day award a particularly difficult one to decide. But decide I have, and on balance, the round 2 Driver of the Day award is going to James McClay. The Driver of the Day nomination is not always about finishing positions. It's often a reward for someone who shows application and a positive mental attitude despite adversity. And the Atlantic Racing Pallet Force driver from King Lassie near Fife could have thrown his dummies out of the pram. Instead, he demonstrated the type of determination that every top driver needs. He never quit, and McClay's reward for his performance is 2nd place in the championship going into round 3 and a no expense spared medal as the Autosign Graphics Driver of the Day. Let's check out those championship positions in cadets. Liam Kelly has a 3-point lead over James McClay, who has 1 point over Huntstone, Patterson and Parker. Ryan Burns on 56. They are the top 6 in Minimax. Theodore has a 2-point lead over Bullen. It's a big gap back to Gibson, Charlton and Gress, 9 points, and then Roy Gill on 55. Nico Angelides is tied with John Stewart. Angelides retains the championship lead only by virtue of his better performance at round 1. Then comes Wrigley on 63, McKean and Wiley on 59, and Gilmore on 51. And in TKM Extreme, it's led by James Duxbury by 6 over Lyle, 3 back to Caudle. Then comes Macaulay, Monks and Bell.
Well, that's all we have time for this month. If you've been watching closely, you'll notice that this is one sport where girl power means something completely different. Next month, we'll have several interviews from some of the girls in the series, and I'll be asking them how they feel when they beat the boys. That's something Ben knows all about because I've beaten him on several occasions. Goodbye.